Hi, Matt. I'm Suzanne from TVMEG. How are you?
I'm good, Suzanne. How are you?
Very good. Big fan of yours. I've watched all the Vampire Diaries shows and Legacies and love those. I keep wanting to call you Rick. I'm sorry. I know you've done a lot more.
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, there's probably been a few times where I wanted to talk to Bill and Jenna about Alaric, but I'm like, Joel.
That's funny. So, can you tell us about your audition for the role of Joel?
Yes. It was been a very special experience. This whole experience has been unique and special and really unlike anything I've ever experienced so far. And it started with my audition. I got the material. I got two scenes. I didn't know from what. There was no pilot. I was not given anything other than two scenes. And I read them and immediately fell in love. I just immediately fell in love. I immediately fell in love with Joel. I could see that he and Birdie were about to collide. I didn't know how, but you could see the immediate tension and how they set the characters up. Um, and the writing was just so special from the very beginning. And there was just something about it. Unlike anything I've ever experienced, I put myself on tape. Um, it was funny, I put two scenes on tape, both with Birdie, kind of romantic tension scenes. I read with the guy, which was hilarious. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna look longingly into your eyes, buddy. Like, that's fine. And and so we I think I did three takes. I did two takes on the first scene, one take on the second scene. I sent them off. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. It just like it was in my mind, it was in my heart. And it was just something about Joel. And I got the offer. 2 weeks later, I got the call. My manager's like, "You got it." I'm like, "Yes." And I was so thrilled. And yet there was also a part of me that was just not surprised. I'm like,
Mhm.
of course, like I saw
It was
him. I
destiny.
saw him. Yes, I saw him, and he saw me, and we were like, all right, let's do this.
Oh,
And
that's great.
yeah, and it's been a magical experience ever since. It's been so cool.
Well, he seems a little dark, a little shady. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, he's a cop that's gonna help his lover cover up a murder. I mean, he's not necessarily a by the book kind of guy. I think he's seen a lot. I think he's probably a little disillusioned by the system. I think he's bored. I think his marriage is stagnant. I think the only thing that keeps them together is raising their son. And and then Birdie comes along. Birdie comes along and just changes everything. And he is just immediately captivated by her because she's just so full of life. She's
Mhm.
chaotic. She's authentic. I think he loves how authentic she is, even if she's just like all over the place. And there's a dynamic between them that resonates because he's very grounded. And I find him he's unshaken by her,
Mhm.
and so she's just this larger than life character. And which is great because it allows me to have this composure around
Mhm.
her. He's got a certain composure around her. And it's been fun to kind of play secrets and keep your cards close to your chest. You don't want to reveal too much to the audience, and we also haven't known, so you gotta preserve your performance a little bit because they started throwing stuff at us later on down the road. We did not know was happening or coming, and so you want to play a little intrigue, you want to play a little mystery. You don't want to reveal too much, and
Right.
so. Uh, but what I love about them is revealed in the second episode at the very end when she runs to him in his office, confesses the murder, and he helps her cover it up. And I just think that kind of loyalty, that kind of trust, that kind of vulnerability with each other, that kind of love is special. And I don't think you see a lot of it. And I don't know that you've ever seen a relationship quite like this, told this way, certainly ever. And so for me, I feel very honored to play Joel. I feel very honored to work with Melissa, who's doing such a remarkable job. I'm so excited
She
for her.
always does. I mean, if you look at all the
Yeah,
cast,
yeah, she's
she
so
got her
talented.
start on the soaps where they do great training for acting.
Well, I have to confess, and I don't know that I should, but I honestly, I was not familiar with her when they
Oh,
cast her. I was
wow.
not familiar with her work. I wasn't familiar with her. I just wasn't. And
Yeah. There's a
on
lot of
some,
TV shows out there. You can't watch them all.
yeah, well, yeah, and you know, and on some level, I was kind of good with that. Like, I didn't want to have preconceived notions about
Sure.
who was gonna play Birdie. I just really wanted to meet Birdie for Birdie.
Hmm.
And I'll never forget like our first real working day together. We shot a stack of scenes together in the police office for episode 2, and I was just immediately knew I was in the presence of an iconic performance. I just immediately knew it. I've worked with a number of actors that have done iconic performances before, and I just immediately knew it. Like I've been telling the story, I'll tell it again. I had this weird flashback when I worked with Melissa for the first time, and like I said, I wasn't familiar with her work, and so when she showed up as Birdie, I was so captivated by her performance. Like right away in the rehearsal, I was like really so impressed and blown away. I had this weird flashback to my very first scene I shot with Reese Witherspoon in Legally Blonde. I remember showing up to shoot the breakup scene in the restaurant, the opening scene essentially for our two characters, and I was so blown away by how like Elle Woods was just there in
Right.
rehearsal. There was like Reese Witherspoon's performance was so beautiful from the very moment, from the very beginning of rehearsal, and it was so powerful and so dynamic and so specific and so rich and so vivid. Like all in the very first rehearsal, I was I was blown away. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. My whole worldview completely changed. I had to throw out everything I thought I understood about my character, everything I thought I understood about life, and I remember I'll never forget it. I had the single thought left in my mind was like, just keep up. If you can just keep up with her. And this was obviously while we were shooting. We had no idea what the film would go on to become. We had no clue. And but I'll never forget that experience working with her, which is such a gift looking back on it. And of course, and then when I flash forward 25 years, I work with Melissa, and she shows up as Birdie, and there I am in that same feeling all over again.
Oh,
I've
wow.
never experienced it since, and I just knew she was onto it. I was like, yes, yes, yes. Like Birdie is such a wonderful character, and to play the man in her life that saves her, helps her, resonates with her, grounds her, like all like it's been such an honor and such a pleasure. And like to be in a state in my career now 25 years later where I can be in the presence of Melissa's brilliant performance and now not be intimidated by it. Now it's like, all right, let's rock and roll. Let's do this. And and we've just had a blast. We've had a
That's
blast.
great.
Yeah.
Well, they're telling me I have to wrap it up, but it was great talking to you, and I look forward to seeing the rest of the episodes because it's got me hooked.
Good, good, good. Check them all out.
Thank you.
Thank you.